Hello, everybody. Melanie Dean here from the podcast Radiant Living. Thank you so much for joining. Today, I am going to be speaking about a topic that I hadn't really planned on sharing, or certainly not so soon in this podcast. But as always, I trust the intuition and go with that inner guidance and that channeled guidance. And for whatever reason, I wasn't even planning on recording a podcast today, but here I am sat down and microphone plugged in and ready to go. So here we are. The topic that I really want to share with you today is the topic about star seeds. So some of you listening to this might not resonate with any of this, and you might choose to switch off, and you hopefully will still join us next week. And I think that's the thing with this podcast. Radiant living can mean so many things, and I definitely want to cover so many things. I definitely want to speak more about mind-body connection, the well-being connection, and interview more people in regards to like nutrition and just really taking care of our vessel, our physical body in this lifetime. But also, I do love sharing these things too, and it feels like this is what I'm called to share more so right now. So I'm just going to go with it. So like I say, if this doesn't sing to you, this topic, please still join us next week, because we could be speaking about something completely different next week, but we'll certainly link with the topic of radiant living. So this is the topic of starseed is something that it hasn't always been in my vocabulary. It hasn't always been something that I've been aware of, but it's obviously something that I've always been. And you might be a starseed, you might not even know what a starseed is, or you might think you are, but you're not sure. And so just stick around. I guess I'm going to go through like 10 points that have really resonated with me, and they will be really reflective in what it is to be a starseed, and also what can help you as a starseed as well. The first thing to share is that starseeds usually do awaken later in life, and that was certainly the case for me. I was definitely seeing and feeling things differently, and now I reflect on that as an adult as how I was as a child. But I really didn't become awake in this world fully until more recently, and certainly as an adult, so in maybe like the last 10 to 15 years, I would say. But like I said, I always felt things differently and saw things differently and heard things differently, but I just didn't really know what to do with that. So I'll come on and touch on that in a moment. The second thing to touch on is you might have a really strong feeling, and starseeds often do have a really strong feeling that they just want to go home. And when you start having these feelings, you don't know why, you don't know where. This was my story anyway. I didn't know why, I didn't know where it came from, and I didn't really understand it. And I was certainly, I don't know if frightened's the right word, but I never shared it with anyone because I never heard anyone speak about these things before. Now, obviously, more people speaking about these things, so you hear it more often. So even though you might be at home, even though you might be surrounded by the most favorite people in your life, your loved ones, your family, your friends, there's still, not always, but every now and again, there's this feeling that you just want to go home. And so for starseeds, that home is somewhere else. It is a different planet. And that sounds really weird, doesn't it? And it sounds crazy. And even just hearing me saying these words out loud, because I don't speak about it very often, certainly not like this, but it's a knowing that you come from somewhere else. And actually, another thing, I've not actually written this down, but this was definitely me as a child. I always looked to the sky. I always looked at the stars. I was always fascinated by astrology, yes, but astronomy as well. I was always just fascinated with the world beyond planet Earth. And also now I know myself as an adult, I have a strong feeling that I always have to be able to see the sky. So growing up in the UK, that was sometimes a little bit challenging, because you could go days or even a week or so with just low level clouds. You can't see the sky, and it wasn't always the cold that I struggled with in the UK, but it was certainly like not being able to see the sky, and that's why I love being here in Australia, because you do get to see the sky most days. So that might resonate with you as well. So for me, actually, as I've grown on this spiritual journey, that feeling of wanting to go home has been relieved. And it has been relieved by doing things like, meditation, yoga, deep breathing, connecting to nature. I think connecting to nature is one of the biggest things, and certainly meditation, like connecting to source energy, because you're really connecting to the bigger picture and you're not keeping small or staying small, but really connecting, like I said, to that bigger vibration, that bigger picture and that bigger energy. And then that helps you feel connected to home, where it was you came from. And I mean, there's so much information out there now that you can access, where you can learn where you came from. Maybe you resonate with Pleiadians, or you might resonate with Mantis. So if you feel those feelings, then I would really, really encourage you to meditate, to do whatever it is that helps you feel connected to that higher intuition, that higher source of energy, that higher vibration, that higher consciousness. The next thing I want to touch on is, for me, and this maybe is just common anyway, I sometimes it's hard to know whether it's because of starseed energy or because it's just common. But as a starseed, sometimes we find that the way humans do things, and I know I am a human, I know that, and I definitely have human experience. I'm having a human experience here, and I feel human feelings, 100,000,000%, I definitely do. But there are some things that humans do that just feels really weird, and for me to do them, it feels weird. And for me to see other people doing things, it just is weird. And it's mostly the domesticated jobs, which sounds like I'm trying to get out of doing domesticated jobs. I promise you I'm not. But it's just certain things just feel and seem weird, and it's odd. It's sometimes hard to explain this, but let me see if I can give you some examples. Okay, one thing that I always find really funny is when you see humans picking up poo from a dog. It's the weird. I just find it so funny. I think it's really, really funny that humans have this way of seeing themselves in this world because of their ego. They see themselves as a higher species, but yet they have to bend down and pick up poo from a dog. And I just think that's just brilliant. Very humbling. Other things is things like packages. I struggle with like taking out packages. I struggle with certain jobs, like I say, domesticated jobs, especially in the kitchen. I really struggle with things like knives and, for example, I was literally stirring something in a glass today and it smashed while I was stirring it. Like, it's just weird. Like, what? How have I even done that? So that's kind of things that I'm talking about. So you might be able to relate to this, and it might mean you're a starseed. It might just mean you don't like doing things, domesticated things, and that's cool too. Again, this isn't a hard fact podcast in that way. I'm just sharing intuition, I'm sharing experience, I'm sharing thoughts, and you can obviously take it, you can leave it. Some things will resonate, some things just will not resonate, and I don't mind that. Like, we're not about the cancel culture here. We're about listening and experiencing through other people and their eyes and their perception, and just seeing if that is going to help us on our journey in this lifetime. That's the way I see it anyway. Okay, so the next thing I want to share with you is that feeling of being an empath. So being an empath, obviously, that's really quite common for a lot of people, especially people in the spiritual world. And, you might be a light worker, but you might not be a starseed. So I don't really identify myself as a light worker. But as a light worker, you're really here to help people, to really, spread the light by really working with people. I see starseed energy as we are here from a different place, and we're here to transcend the energy and the vibration of the planet. And that can be done not through necessarily speaking to people or being with people, but it can be done just by being here on this planet. Whereas light workers are definitely more engaged and active in raising the vibration. And so a lot of people are definitely relating and resonating with empath. I think that's just really normal. I think as we're going into that 5D consciousness and that new earth consciousness, and we're all becoming more sensitive, we're all becoming more conscious, right? We're becoming more aware, we're becoming more, we're seeing more, and it's not based on what we can see, but it's a feeling. We're seeing with our feelings, if that makes sense. So for me personally, it's not that I have necessarily felt as an empath in the sense that you're feeling something, now I start to feel it. I don't necessarily resonate with that. What I do resonate with is that someone might be feeling something and I can feel that they're feeling something. And I think it comes with creating boundaries and really understanding that boundaries are a good thing and boundaries are important, and not just physically but energetically. And because ultimately, like, you can't help someone if you're feeling what they're feeling too. So as an empath, we have to elevate our energy to the point where we can create boundaries without fear of not being liked or whatever we associate with having boundaries with people. So that is a real common aspect of being a starseed, but I also think just being in this fifth dimension as well. Certainly one thing that I have experienced, and this was definitely, I've experienced this since I can remember, but without realizing I was experiencing it, and that is that I can feel what other people are feeling despite what they tell me. So they definitely, we obviously, this is quite common as humans. We put something forward, we say things, but we are thinking and feeling something different. And I can see people's layers, and I can see people's layers of what they want to project, what their mask is, and then what they truly are, and then obviously that soul connection. And what sometimes that has been in terms of being challenging, because before I realized what I was experiencing, was because I could see things that that individual couldn't see in themselves. And so I would be talking to a different layer than they were projecting. And that can really cause, for me anyway, it certainly caused me frustration over the years. It's caused upset for myself, because the way then I would communicate with someone wouldn't be the right way to communicate. And again, this is something that I've learned now over the years, and it's a hard lesson to learn, because people don't easily forget if you've communicated something that wasn't appropriate or wasn't right at that time and didn't maybe make them feel good. But also for someone who was experiencing that as well, it's not until you realize, and I guess that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I feel called to do this, because you might be experiencing this. You might be experiencing that you're talking to someone, but you're talking to a different energy to the energy they're putting out, they're projecting out. And so it can cause, like I say, frustration. It can cause real funny communications, which, if you're someone who's maybe looking to take on a leadership role, whether it's in business or in the home, family unit, this is definitely something to really be mindful of and to consider. And it's definitely helped me. And there'd be like certain situations, especially if I'm in a big group of people, and it's almost, I didn't realize this at the time, but I could feel everybody else's thoughts and maybe frustrations or anger or upset or excitement or love or compassion. And when you're in a place where you've got all that around you, it can be very challenging if you don't know that's what you're experiencing. And coming from my experiences, it has been challenging. And also I think the challenging part was that I thought everyone else was seeing and feeling what I was feeling. And then I couldn't understand why my reality of a situation felt different to maybe somebody else's. So a lot of, projection, a lot of perception, which I have spoken about. I think it was like the third podcast I did, which really just sort of shows that we're all coming to an event, or coming to a meeting, or coming to a family gathering with different perceptions, with different projections, with different feelings, with a different maybe even agenda, but certainly we can all be having such a different experience. And certainly if you're connecting as a starseed, you will be having a multiple layer of experiences all in one single moment in time. And to decipher what is true, and obviously what is true is only what you perceive to be true anyway, is where the challenge is, to the point where I realized that actually the truth is whatever I want to see as the truth, whatever is going to serve me as the truth. It has also, I'm not going to lie, it has also made me incredibly conscious of my energy, my boundaries with energy, who I spend time with, and actually the amount of people I spend time with as well, which of course right now is, that's not hard to do, to spend time with less people. But actually here in Australia, there's a lot of things that are business as usual. So I am, very conscious about that. And I'm unapologetic about that. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to apologize for me being that way. And I really want to encourage you to be unapologetic too, because why not, right? Like, you have one lifetime, and at the end of the day, you're probably having a completely different experience to somebody else. So you have to take care of you and your energy. Now, obviously, we can transcend the perception, so we can transcend it to a higher vibration, and that's what we always want to look to do. We're not going to sit in fear, lack, scarcity. We always transcend it. But, if we can make something a better experience, then of course we're going to. So another couple of things just to touch on: not liking to wear many clothes. Hence my outfit today is kind of like a bedsheet. And this is another reason why I did struggle to live in the UK, was because you have to wear so many layers and so many clothes, even sometimes in the summer. And I would really find it frustrating. I would really feel, not always, again, as I learn about these feelings and this connection, and as I learn still my mind and calm my mind and my energy, I've definitely grown to be better with these things. But there was certainly times when you just feel like you just want to just take everything off, just take all your clothes off. And so I just love wearing just really, less clothes, like high vibrational clothes. So for example, I love one of my friends in Sydney, Salty's Label is the brand. She creates, designs her own clothes. And then it's this really high conscious, this high vibrational clothing, because it's made by her, material is ethically sourced, ethically made. And so then that really can help energies as well. It can help your energy. And for me, not having to wear many clothes is just an absolute blessing. Also, another thing which is very, very common is really sensitive ears. So this is me. So I, having sensitive to sound, and sensitive to vibrations. So for me, even when there's no noise, I can still hear vibrations. And there's nothing wrong with the ears, it's not that. I know maybe some people might think that, but it isn't. It's something completely different. And, that's just part of it. And, again, you can see that how you want to see it. I just see everything as a blessing. I think of those vibrations as being the guides around me, and the spirits and angel guardians around me just really being close. And that's them letting me know that they're close and that I'm supported and I'm guided. Again, what's wonderful is you can always create your own story around any of this. So, do that. If you're feeling that way, do that, because if it serves you and it makes you feel good, and someone else might be listening to this and think, oh gosh, it's all just a load of rubbish. Well, that kind of doesn't matter, because, hey, say if they're right, what's going to happen? If it makes you feel good, if knowing these things help you in life and make you feel good, then hold on to them, because that's what is the truth at the end of the day, whatever feels good for you. Another thing that I don't think this is related to having sensitive ears, although it could be, but you can tend to find that people who are starseeds, more often than not, they don't have children. That's why I think it might be related to sensitive ears. I don't think so though. So for me personally, I don't have children and I don't plan on having children, and that can be quite a common aspect of being a starseed. Again, it doesn't define you as a starseed or not, but it is a common aspect. Also, another aspect of being a starseed, and you'll know if this resonates with you or not, and that's having that psychic ability. So again, it might be something that you think, actually, I don't think I have got psychic abilities, but you maybe do have, but you've just not tapped into them. In fact, we all have the ability. We all have the psychic abilities. But definitely for starseeds, they have that ability to really link in and connect in. And that's definitely something that I've explored and being conscious of and being really aware of, and really then being able to develop. So you do have, as starseeds, you tend to have the ability to see things before they happen, or you can feel possibilities in things stronger than others. So it does make you, a lot of the times it can make you very much a visionary. It can also mean that you make a really good leader, because you can see possibilities, you can see things before other people can, you can feel things before other people can. So it really can help add a certainty. Like I say, you could be a starseed and might not have tapped into this yet, and I would definitely recommend tapping into it if you haven't already. And the first step to do that is starting to be very mindful and conscious, connecting to source energy, meditation, breathing, being in nature, all the things that I probably always speak about. But then you can also just start practicing and testing yourself. So you can, say if your phone beeps and it's a message come through, you can maybe try and predict who that message is from before looking. Or you can try and predict something that might happen later in the day. Like you might predict that you're going to bump into someone, or that you're going to see something like a sign, or whatever that might be. But really just start tapping into that universal energy. I think, again, sometimes we think that these things are these big things, because that's how we were conditioned to believe in our past lives, and obviously beginning of this lifetime as well. We were conditioned to believe that people who could see these things and experience these things were special. And actually the truth is that we're all special, and therefore none of us are. But we're all special in the fact that we all have these abilities. It is about just, really cultivating that ability. And definitely some people do find that easier to connect to than others. And certainly as starseeds, you absolutely have that at your fingertips. So connect in with it and utilize it. And then the next thing that just to share with you as well is that starseeds definitely love being in nature. They definitely have that, put a big importance about feeling connected, and that connection is, like I said, I think I said this in the beginning, it really can come from being in nature and really connecting into nature. So this is just a few things that I wanted to share with you. I'll give you, I tell you what's a really good video to watch actually. The channel is called Conscious Evolution Journey. And if you type that in with Starseed, she actually has videos, and she's like, oh, here are some big signs that would say that you're a Starseed. And she gives you like the obvious signs, like that feeling that you don't belong here and things like that. And she also gives you extra things as well that you might resonate with. So have a look at that. One thing actually that's just sprung to my mind, something that she said, which I definitely 100% resonate with, and you maybe do too, and that starseeds, they don't always want to conform to like the man, society. So I guess not having children is one thing that's not conforming to society's expectations on individuals, but certainly in terms of their work life, the way they live, the way they explore life, they don't necessarily do the norm. They don't necessarily, do the Monday to Friday working for someone else kind of living. They more often than not are maybe more like free-spirited in the way they live that aspect of their life. So again, you might resonate with that. Like I said, there's definitely overlaps between starseeds, light workers, and of course empaths as well. And like I say, you might resonate with this, you might resonate with something else. Again, I just felt like I just journaled some things down, and I thought I'm going to record this, and if it sounds like it's a podcast, then I'll definitely put it out, and I feel like it is. I would always love to hear from you, so please feel free to message me. Please feel free to tag me on Instagram at Melanie J. Dean. You can message me through my website, info@melanieJdean.com, and check out the website as well. I would love if you left a review, obviously a 5-star review on the podcast. That would be amazing, because it just means that we can get this out to more people. We have to work the algorithm at the end of the day. Where else can you find me? Oh, on YouTube as well. So if you just type in Melanie Dean Radiant Living on YouTube, you'll find me on there as well with some meditations, and of course the upload of this as well. So thank you so much for joining. Feel free to share this with people who you think might resonate, might enjoy it, and I really do look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.